Welcome to the deep dive. It's June 29th, 2025 today.
Right. And our source material actually highlights this date. It says it's a new opportunity to remember who truly reigns over all.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack a powerful passage, Psalm 83, verses 1 through 18.
Mm-hmm. And the reflection notes that go with it.
Yeah, we want to pull out the key insights on, well, how to handle those times when life just feels completely overwhelming.
And the source itself, it's framed as a quiet time reflection, the kind that invites you to just pause.
Take a breath.
Yeah, take a deep breath and really think about some profound truths. And it sets up this core idea, doesn't it?
It really does. This unshakable truth that God is most high over all the earth, even when everything feels like chaos.
Especially then, maybe.
Good point. So with that as our backdrop, God being most high, even in chaos, how does this ancient cry from Psalm 83 actually help us? Let's pose this to you, our listener. How do you find that steadfastness when your life feels like a storm, like the one the psalmist was clearly in?
It's a great starting question.
So kicking us off, Psalm 83, it opens with this feeling, it's immediately relatable if you've ever felt just cornered,
Definitely.
The psalmist isn't holding back. It's this urgent cry for God not to keep silent. Don't hold back. Don't be still.
It paints a really vivid picture of urgency, an overwhelming situation.
And then the psalmist gets specific about these overwhelming enemies, right, in verses 2 through 5.
He does. It's fascinating how it's described. They make an uproar, they raise their heads, they're actively plotting, laying crafty plans.
And specifically against God's treasured ones.
Exactly. And the intention is chillingly clear. They want to wipe them out as a nation.
So the name of Israel is just gone, forgotten.
Yeah, so the name of Israel be remembered no more. It's an existential threat, like total erasure.
Wow. That really conveys the danger, the isolation, but it gets even more daunting, doesn't it?
It does.
The source material then details this specific, almost unbelievable list of enemies in verses 6 through 8.
Yeah, it's like an ancient who's who of opposition.
Right. It mentions the tents of Edom and the Ishmaelites, Moab and the Hagrites. These are like neighbors.
Traditional rivals.
Then Jabal and Ammon and Amalek, more desert peoples. Then Philistia with the inhabitants of Tyre, major coastal powers.
Formidable forces there.
And then, as if that weren't enough, Ashur also has joined them. Assyria, a huge empire.
Right. That really ups the stakes. It shows this wasn't just a small skirmish. It was a massive coordinated threat. Makes it feel vast.
Absolutely vast. And faced with that, the psalmist pivots.
He does. He appeals to God, but not just in a general way. He appeals based on history, on past actions.
Okay. In verses 9 through 12, he says, do to them as you did to Midian.
As to Sisera and Jabin at the river Kishon. Yeah, these are famous victories in Israel's history.
Who were destroyed at Endor, who became dung for the ground. Pretty graphic.
It is. It shows the totality of the past defeat he's recalling. He's not just asking for help. He's asking for that kind of decisive historical deliverance.
And he doesn't stop there, does he? He names specific enemy leaders from the past.
Right. Make their nobles like Oreb and Zeeb, all their princes like Zeba and Zalmunna.
So why name them? Why not just ask for victory? There's something powerful in recalling those specific names, isn't there?
Absolutely. Our source highlights this. These weren't just random names. They were leaders of enemies who were utterly defeated by God's intervention in the past.
Okay.
By naming them, the psalmist is like activating that history. He's reminding God and maybe reminding himself of God's proven power.
Especially against those who, as the psalm says, wanted to take possession for ourselves of the pastures of God.
Exactly. It's showing confidence not just in God's power generally, but in his character as a deliverer based on past actions. It gives him a foundation for faith even now.
That makes sense. It anchors the plea in something solid, which then leads us to the real core of the psalm, doesn't it? Verses 13 through 18.
The climax.
And especially that key verse, our source material points out, that they may know that you alone, whose name is the Lord, are the most high over all the earth.
That is such a powerful declaration.
It really is a statement of ultimate authority. But talk about that phrase, whose name is the Lord. There's a specific weight to that, right?
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crucial. The source emphasizes this isn't just a name for God. It's the name, the covenant name Yahweh.
Okay.
So it's not just about generic power. It signifies God's unique, personal, active relationship and his faithfulness to his promises. It makes his authority deeply personal, not abstract.
So it connects the power directly to his covenant identity.
Precisely. And look at the imagery used for the enemy's fate in verses 13 to 15. It's intense.
Yeah, whirling dust, chaff before the wind.
Like fire consumes the forest, a flame sets the mountains ablaze. It's total chaos for them.
And God pursuing them with a tempest and a hurricane. It's just overwhelming power being described.
Absolutely overwhelming. It drives home the point about his authority. Nothing can stand against him.
So, if that's the power, what's the ultimate point of this divine action? Verses 16 to 18 seem to suggest it's not just destruction.
Right. It's not just about winning the battle.
It says, fill their faces with shame, that they may seek your name, O Lord.
See? There's a purpose beyond defeat.
Let them be put to shame and dismayed forever. Let them perish in disgrace, that they may know. There it is again.
That you alone, whose name is the Lord, are the most high over all the earth.
So the ultimate goal is this recognition, this knowing.
Exactly. And this brings us right back to that core, unshakable truth from the reflection notes. God is most high over all the earth. What's profound here is that even the enemies are ultimately part of this knowing, either through turning to him, seeking his name,
or by experiencing his overwhelming power and authority.
Right. Either way, his name, his rule is acknowledged. It means that even in the worst chaos, his reign isn't actually challenged, it's just revealed.
That's a perspective shift. Chaos is revelation.
Yeah. And even when we feel utterly small, insignificant, overwhelmed, he is still completely sovereign. The insight isn't just God over chaos, but God using chaos itself as the stage for showing who he is.
Wow. Okay. That's powerful. His rule is unchallenged even in chaos. But, intellectually grasping that is one thing.
Living it out is another, especially when you feel overwhelmed.
Totally. So how does this psalm help bridge that gap? Let's turn to the reflection part of our source material. This is where it gets personal for us, for you listening.
Yeah, time to bring it home.
So think about this honestly with us. What fears or pressures feel overwhelming for you right now? Just name them, even silently. Now, how would your perspective change if you truly, deeply believed God is most high in that covenantal, personal way we talked about?
Yeah, not just as a concept, but as a reality.
And then the practical step. What would it actually look like for you to live today with genuine confidence in his rule, given everything we've just explored?
And digging a bit deeper, using the questions from the "What does this passage speak to you today?" section.
Okay.
Are you really living like God is in control? Or is fear driving the bus, so to speak?
Oof. Good question.
How can you actively shift your focus? Move from that fear to faith, especially when things feel like that hurricane the psalm describes.
It's an active shift, isn't it? Not passive.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And what would it look like to trust his name, that covenant name, Yahweh, above all other names or powers or fears in your life, to make that your bedrock?
Yeah. This whole deep dive, it's really about that practical application, isn't it? It's not just information.
No, it's about transformation. Like the source prompts, live today with confidence in his rule.
So as we wrap this up, it really does circle back to that idea, that profound shift in perspective, moving from being swamped by the noise and the threats around us
the uproar,
to resting in this unshakable truth, a truth that's revealed, ironically, even in the midst of the battle.
So maybe a final thought for you to really chew on, building on that prayer prompt in the source material. God is not silent, even when it feels like it. He is sovereign, always. And his name will be known in all the earth, period.
That's quite a statement to end on.
Reflect on what that really means for your life. For whatever feels overwhelming for you right now, what does that truth actually change?
Powerful. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Psalm 83.
Yeah, thanks for digging in with us.
We really encourage you to maybe sit with this passage, explore it further on your own, and let that profound truth sink in.